Hello, this is exercise 8.12 toString bank account. So the problem reads, add the following method to bank account class, public string toString. So I see that we already have that there. You can just move on. Your method should return a string that contains the account's name and balance separated by a comma and space. For example, if an account object named Benben has the name Benson and a balance of 17.25, the call of Benben toString should return Benson, comma, $17.25. And there are some special cases you should handle. If the balance is negative, put the negative sign before the dollar sign. Also, always display the cents as a two-digit number. For example, if the same object had a balance of negative 17.5, your method should return Benson, comma, negative $17.50. And your code is being added to the following class. And then that means we can just use anything that we see over here. Okay, so we'll start by adding a couple of variables. So we need two things at first. Okay, so the first thing we need is our sign variable, which will account for our negative sign if there is any. And then I like to call it padding. So this will pretty much pad anything that is in the decimal values. So if we need like a placeholder 0 over here, because it happens to be less than 10, just looking at our values underneath the decimal, then we need like a decimal pad for our decimal values. So we'll just write that. So string sign, we'll leave empty strings because we do need to modify these later, and then string decimal pad. You can name this variable anything else, but that's just like how I like to call it, because we're kind of padding our decimal place. Okay, and then we'll account for our special case of negative. So if our balance happens to be less than 0, then we'll switch the balance value into negative balance. Remember, this reassigns the variable, and then our sign would switch over to negative. So we'll add negative, and yep, that will account for our cases. And now we need to change our balance into cents. So what I mean by that is, since this is not a money value, it's just a random decimal, right, in this case, but we need to change it so that it becomes into cents. That way we can get the integer value and the decimal value of this number so that it converts into our money value. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this by 100 so that our decimal place moves over. So think of it this way: if this is 17.25, meaning $17.25, then that's pretty much the same thing as 1,725 cents. So we'll convert this into integers since it becomes into an integer. So we'll name this balance in cents. Okay, and then the value we're being given isn't an integer, it's a double, so we'll just add our int just in case, and then we'll multiply balance by 100. Okay, and then now we need to get our integer part of our dollars, and so this part is our integer part, and then this part's our decimal part, right? So we'll say int and then integer part. So how do we get that? We need to multiply it by 100. That way, since this is integer division, it will only return us our integer and not our decimal part. So we'll just say balance in cents. We'll divide that by 100. And then same thing for our decimal part. We'll do the exact same thing pretty much, but we do need to get the remainder of our integer division, right? So we'll say balance in cents, and then getting the remainder operator is our modulus operator. So modulus and then 100, just like that. Okay, and then that should be the conversion to our money value. And then we'll add our code for our decimal pad. Okay, so we'll say if the decimal part happens to be less than 10. So just looking at this part over here, if that happens to be less than 10, we need a placeholder value pretty much. Then we'll just say decimal pad will have to equal to 0, like that. And yeah, that's all the parts that we need, and then we can just do the final return statement, and then I think we'll be done. So we'll say return, and then we'll get name, that's given here, name plus and then the formatting is we need comma, so string and then comma, and make sure you have that space here because it does require the space, and then plus, and then we'll get our sign if there is any, plus, and then string $sign, and then plus we need our integer part, plus, and then we need our decimal, so the dot, and then plus, and then if we have a decimal pad, then we do need to add that in, so decimal pad, and then plus, and then we need our decimal part, right? Okay, and then yeah, I think that should do it. Let's run it. And yes, all our test cases are passed. And yep, that's it for this problem, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.